conscription crisis of 1918 had a profound effect in changing public opinion in Ireland against the British government. 39. In January 1919, after the December 1918 general election, 73 of Ireland's 105 members of Parliament, MPs, elected were Sinn Féin members who were elected on a platform of abstentionism from the British House of Commons. In January 1919, they set up an Irish Parliament called Dáil Éireann. This first Dáil issued a declaration of independence and proclaimed an Irish Republic. The declaration was mainly a restatement of 1916 proclamation with the additional provision that Ireland was no longer a part of the United Kingdom. The Irish Republic's Ministry of Dáil Éireann sent a delegation under Cian Camell, head of council, or Speaker, of the Dáil, Sean T. Kelly, to the Paris Peace Conference of 1919, but it was not admitted. After the War of Independence and truce called in July 1921, representatives of the British government and 5 Irish treaty delegates, led by Arthur Griffith, Robert Barton and Michael Collins, negotiated the Anglo-Irish Treaty in London from the 11th of October to the 6th of December 1921. The Irish delegates set up headquarters at Hans Place in Knightsbridge, and it was here in private discussions that the decision was taken on the 5th of December to recommend the treaty to Dáil Éireann. On the 7th of January 1922, the Second Dáil ratified the treaty by 64 votes to 57.40, in accordance with the treaty. On the 6th of December 1922, the entire island of Ireland became a self-governing dominion called the Irish Free State, Sastat Éireann. Under the constitution of the Irish Free State, the Parliament of Northern Ireland had the option to leave the Irish Free State 1 month later and return to the United Kingdom. During the intervening period, the powers of the Parliament of the Irish Free State and in 1922 a new parliament called the Oireachtas was established, of which Dáil Éireann became the lower house. Executive Council of the Irish Free State did not extend to Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland exercised its right under the treaty to leave its new dominion and rejoined the United Kingdom on 8 December 1922. It did so by making an address to the King requesting that the powers of the Parliament and Government of Irish Free State shall no longer extend to Northern Ireland. 41. The Irish Free State was a constitutional monarchy sharing a monarch with the United Kingdom and other dominions of the British Commonwealth. The country had a Governor-General, representing the monarch, a bicameral parliament, a cabinet called Executive Council, and a Prime Minister called the President of the Executive Council. Irish Civil War. Éamon de Valera, 1882-1975. The Irish Civil War, June 1922–May 1923, was the consequence of the ratification of the Anglo-Irish Treaty and the creation of the Irish Free State. 42. Anti-treaty forces, led by Éamon de Valera, objected to the fact that acceptance of the treaty abolished the Irish Republic of 1919 to which he had sworn loyalty, arguing in the face of public support for the settlement that the people have no right to do wrong. 43. They objected most to the fact that the state would remain part of the British Empire and that members of the Free State Parliament would have to swear what the anti-treaty side saw as an oath of fidelity to the British King. Pro-treaty forces, led by Michael Collins, argued that the treaty gave not the ultimate freedom that all nations aspire to and develop, but the freedom to achieve it. 44. At the start of the war, the Irish Republican Army, IA, split into 2 opposing camps, a pro-treaty IA and an anti-treaty IA. The pro-treaty disbanded and joined the new National Army. However, because the anti-treaty IA lacked an effective command structure and because of the pro-treaty forces' defensive tactics throughout the war, Michael Collins and his pro-treaty forces were able to build up an army with many tens of thousands of World War I veterans from the 1922 disbanded Irish regiments of the British Army, capable of overwhelming the anti-treatyists. British supplies of artillery, aircraft, machine guns and ammunition boosted pro-treaty forces, and the threat of a return of Crown forces to the Free State removed any doubts about the necessity of enforcing the treaty. Lack of public support for the anti-treaty forces, often called the Irregulars, and the determination of the government to overcome the Irregulars contributed significantly to their defeat. Constitution of Ireland 1937. Following a national plebiscite in July 1937, the new Constitution of Ireland, Bunreath na Éireann, came into force on the 29th of December 1937. 45. This replaced the Constitution of the Irish Free State and declared that the name of the state is Éire, or Ireland in the English language. 46. While Articles 2 and 3 of the Constitution defined the national territory to be the whole island, they also confined the state's jurisdiction to the area that had been the Irish Free State. The former Irish Free State government had abolished the office of Governor-General in December 1936. Although the Constitution established the office of President of Ireland, the question over whether Ireland was a republic remained open. Diplomats were accredited to the king, but the president exercised all internal functions of a head of state. 47. For instance, the president gave assent to new laws with his own authority, without reference to King George VI, who as only an organ that was provided for by statute law. Ireland remained neutral during World War II, a period it described as the emergency. 48. Ireland's dominion status was terminated with the passage of the Republic of Ireland Act 1948, which came into force on the 18th of April, 1949 and declared that the state was a republic. 49. 50. At the time, a declaration of our public terminated Commonwealth membership. This rule was changed 10 days after Ireland declared itself a republic, with the London Declaration of the 28th of April, 1949. Ireland did not reapply when the rules were altered to permit republics to join. Later, the Crown of Ireland Act 1542 was repealed in Ireland by the Statute Law Revision, Pre-Union Irish Statutes, Act 1962. 51. Recent history. In 1973, Ireland joined the European Economic Community along with the United Kingdom and Denmark. The country signed the Lisbon Treaty in 2007. Ireland became a member of the United Nations in December 1955 after having been denied membership because of its neutral stance during the Second World War and not supporting the Allied cause. 52. At the time, joining the UN involved a commitment to using force to deter aggression by one state against another if the UN thought it was necessary. 53. Interest towards membership of the European Communities, EC, developed in Ireland during the 1950s, with consideration also given to membership of the European Free Trade Area. As the United Kingdom intended on EC membership, Ireland applied for membership in July 1961 due to the substantial economic linkages with the United Kingdom. The founding EC members remained skeptical regarding Ireland's economic capacity, neutrality, and unattractive protectionist policy. 54. Many Irish economists and politicians realized that economic policy reform was necessary. The prospect of EC membership became doubtful in 1963 when French President General Charles de Gaulle stated that France opposed Britain's accession, which ceased negotiations with all other candidate countries. In 1969 his successor, Georges Pompidou, was not opposed to British and Irish membership. Negotiations began, and in 1972 the Treaty of Accession was signed. A referendum was held later that year which confirmed Ireland's entry into the bloc, and it finally joined the EC as a member state on the 1st of January 1973. 55. The economic crisis of the late 1970s was fueled by the Fianna Fáil government's budget, the abolition of car tax, excessive borrowing, and global economic instability, including the 1979 oil crisis. 56. There were significant policy changes from 1989 onwards, with economic reform, tax cuts, welfare reform, an increase in competition, and a ban on borrowing to fund current spending. This policy began in 1989-1992 by the Fianna Fáil /Progressive Democrat government, and continued by the subsequent Fianna Fáil /Labour government and Fine Gael /Labour Democratic Left government. Ireland became one of the world's fastest growing economies by the late 1990s in what was known as the Celtic Tiger period, which lasted until the Great Recession. Since 2014, Ireland has experienced increased economic activity. 57. In the Northern Ireland question, the British and Irish governments started to seek a peaceful resolution to violent conflict involving many paramilitaries and the British Army in Northern Ireland, known as the Troubles. A peace settlement for Northern Ireland, known as the Good Friday Agreement, was approved in 1998 in referendums north and south of the border. As part of the peace settlement, the territorial claim to Northern Ireland in Articles 2 and 3 of the Constitution of Ireland was removed by referendum. In its white paper on Brexit, the United Kingdom government reiterated its commitment to the Good Friday Agreement. The Cliffs of Moher on the Atlantic coast. With regard to Northern Ireland's status, it said that the UP government's clearly stated preference is to retain Northern Ireland's current constitutional position as part of the UK, but with strong links to Ireland. 58. Geography. Macgillycuddy's Reeks, mountain range in County Kerry, includes the highest peaks in Ireland. The state extends over an area of about 5/6, 70,273 square kilometers or 27,133 square mi, of the island of Ireland, 84,421 square kilometers or 32,595 square mi, with Northern Ireland constituting the remainder. The island is bounded to the north and west by the Atlantic Ocean and to the northeast by the North Channel. To the east, the Irish Sea connects to the Atlantic Ocean via St. George's Channel and the Celtic Sea to the southwest. The western landscape mostly consists of rugged cliffs, hills and mountains. The central lowlands are extensively covered with glacial deposits of clay and sand, as well as significant areas of bogland and several lakes. The highest point is Carron-2 Hill, 1,038.6 m or 3,407 feet, located in the Macgillycuddy's Reeks mountain range in the southwest. River Shannon, which traverses the central lowlands, is the longest river in Ireland at 386 kilometers or 240 miles in length. The west coast is more rugged than the east, with numerous islands, peninsulas, headlands and bays. Glendalough Valley in County Wicklow. Ireland is one of the least forested countries in Europe. 59. Until the end of the Middle Ages, the land was heavily forested. Native species include deciduous trees such as oak, ash, hazel, birch, alder, willow, aspen, elm, rowan and hawthorn, as well as evergreen trees such as Scots pine, yew, holly and strawberry trees. 60. The growth of blanket bog and the extensive clearing of woodland for farming are believed to be the main causes of deforestation. 61. Today, only about 10% of Ireland is woodland, 62, most of which is non-native conifer plantations, and only 2% of which is native woodland. 63, 64, the average woodland cover in European countries is over 33%. 62, according to Coiled, a state-owned forestry business. The country's climate gives Ireland one of the fastest growth rates for forests in Europe. 65, hedgerows, which are traditionally used to define land boundaries, are an important substitute for woodland habitat, providing refuge for native wild flora and a wide range of insect, bird and mammal species. 66, it is home to two terrestrial ecoregions, Celtic broadleaf forests and North Atlantic moist mixed forests. 67, agriculture accounts for about 64% of the total land area. 68, this has resulted in limited land to preserve natural habitats, in particular for larger wild mammals with greater territorial requirements. 69, the long history of agricultural production coupled with modern agricultural methods, such as pesticide and fertilizer use, has placed pressure on biodiversity. 70, climate. Glenveagh, the second largest national park in Ireland. The Atlantic Ocean and the warming influence of the Gulf Stream affect weather patterns in Ireland. 71, temperatures differ regionally, with central and eastern areas tending to be more extreme. However, due to a temperate oceanic climate, temperatures are seldom lower than 5 degrees C, 23 degrees Fahrenheit, in winter, or higher than 26 degrees C, 79 degrees Fahrenheit, in summer. 72, the highest temperature recorded in Ireland was 33.3 degrees Celsius, 91.9 degrees Fahrenheit, on the 26th of June, 1887 at Kilkenny Castle in Kilkenny, while the lowest temperature recorded was 19.1 degrees C, 2.4 degree F, at Markree Castle in Sligo. 73, rainfall is more prevalent during winter months and less so during the early months of summer. Southwestern areas experience the most rainfall as a result of southwesterly winds, while Dublin receives the least. Sunshine duration is highest in the southeast of the country. 71, the far north and west are two of the windiest regions in Europe, with great potential for wind energy generation. 74, Mount Brandon Island normally gets between 1100 and 1600 hours of sunshine each year, most areas averaging between 3.25 and 3.75 hours a day. The sunniest months are May and June, which average between 5 and 6.5 hours per day over most of the country. The extreme southeast gets most sunshine, averaging over 7 hours a day in early summer. December is the dullest month, with an average daily sunshine ranging from about 1 hour in the north to almost 2 hours in the extreme southeast. The sunniest summer in the 100 years from 1881 to 1980 was 1887, according to measurements made at the Phoenix Park in Dublin. 1980 was the dullest. 75, politics. Ireland is a constitutional republic with a parliamentary system of government. The Oireachtas is the bicameral national parliament composed of the President of Ireland and the two houses of the Oireachtas Dáil Éireann, House of Representatives, and Seán Éireann, Senate. 76, Arizon Watarain is the official residence of the President of Ireland, while the houses of the Oireachtas meet at Leinster House in Dublin. The President serves as head of state, is elected for a 7-year term, and may be re-elected once. The President is primarily a figurehead, but is entrusted with certain constitutional powers with the advice of the Council of State. The office has absolute discretion in some areas, such as referring a bill to the Supreme Court for a judgment on its constitutionality. 77, Michael D. Higgins became the 9th President of Ireland on the 11th of November 2011. 78, the Taoiseach, Prime Minister, serves as the head of government and is appointed by the President upon nomination of the Dáil. Most Dasai have served as the leader of the political party that gains the most seats in national elections. It has become customary for coalitions to form a government, as there has not been a single-party government since 1989. The Dáil has 160 members, Ttai Dála, elected to represent multi-seat constituencies under the system of proportional representation by